Your coworkers think you can't afford the office gift pool. You put in $12, same as always. You hand the envelope to Greg from accounting, who tracks the spreadsheet and has never once questioned why you always contribute exactly $12. You smile. You go back to your desk. And somewhere in a storage yard 3 miles from an industrial port, 17 pieces of heavy equipment sit on gravel you own the lease to, generating $8,400 a month, in a business name nobody at this office has ever heard of. You are 41. You drive a 2015 Honda Civic with a cracked dashboard trim you haven't fixed, because fixing it costs $180, and a woman earning $54,000 a year doesn't spend $180 on dashboard trim. Your lunch is always packed, rice and roasted vegetables. Your work bag is a $34 canvas tote from a museum gift shop with a small ink stain near the bottom left corner. 6 years old, never replaced. Not because you can't, because the bag communicates exactly what you need it to communicate. Ordinary, unremarkable. A woman who is competent and pleasant and has nothing worth asking about. That is the most valuable thing you have ever owned. It didn't start with ambition. It started with a problem. You were 31 working logistics at a regional distribution company, and every summer the loading dock ran out of ice. Not metaphorically, literally. The commercial ice machine broke in July and the vendor took 11 days to fix it. And in those 11 days, the dock supervisor, named Frank, spent $1,400 on bagged ice from a wholesaler and complained about it every single morning. You asked Frank who owned the machine. He said a leasing company in another state. You asked how much the lease cost. He said more than it should. You went home that evening and sat at your kitchen table with a cup of tea going cold, and spent 4 hours reading about commercial ice machine leasing. Not because it was interesting, because Frank's problem existed in every warehouse, every loading dock, every food processing facility within 40 miles of where you were sitting. Your first machine cost $6,200, purchased refurbished from a restaurant equipment liquidator named Dale. You negotiated Dale down from $7,100 in a 15-minute conversation where you said very little and waited longer than was comfortable. Dale respected that. You placed the machine at a small food distribution facility through an agreement with the operations manager, a woman named Bev who wore the same lanyard every day and made every facility's decision for that building without consulting anyone above her. Monthly lease fee, $340. Bev signed a 2-year agreement on a Tuesday without blinking. You drove home, you ate dinner. You didn't tell anyone. By year 3, you had 11 machines, placed across food distribution centers, a regional hospital supply warehouse, and 2 commercial kitchen facilities. Combined monthly revenue of $3,740. Serviced by a technician named Roy, who charged a flat $60 per visit and drove a van with a magnetic sign he removed at the end of each day. Roy didn't know what else you owned. Roy knew ice machines. That was the relationship. The storage yard came from paying attention to a problem nobody else thought was worth solving. A logistics contact mentioned that heavy equipment operators near the port had nowhere close to store machinery between contracts. The nearest yard was 40 minutes out. Operators were losing hours, paying for distance because proximity didn't exist. You spent 3 Saturdays driving industrial perimeters in the Civic, looking at vacant parcels with access roads and flat gravel and enough square footage to matter. You found a 2-acre lot on a month-to-month ground lease held by an estate that wanted it gone. You offered $4,800 a month for the ground lease with a 5-year term. They said yes in 9 days. You fenced it, graveled the back section, installed basic lighting. Total setup cost of $34,000 pulled from an LLC reserve account that had been building quietly for 2 years. 1 ad in a regional equipment operator newsletter, $75 to place. Within 6 weeks, the yard held 17 pieces of equipment from 8 different operators at an average of $490 per machine per month. You didn't celebrate, you recalculated. You sat at the same kitchen table with the same too-loud refrigerator and wrote one number on a yellow legal pad in pencil, $11,840 per month. You looked at it for a while, then you made tea, then you went to bed at 10 p.m. because you had work in the morning. Your colleague thinks you're saving up for a new car. You let her think that. She mentioned once that you deserved something nicer than the Civic. You laughed. You said you were being practical. Which is true, you are being extremely practical. The Civic runs, the Civic is registered in your personal name. The Civic is the visible layer. Everything beneath it is registered to entities that don't share your surname, managed through a registered agent in a low disclosure state, generating more per month than she earns in a quarter. You isn't your enemy, she's just someone who would tell someone, and that someone else would tell someone, and the version of you that exists in other people's minds would begin to change. The moment that version changes, everything around you changes with it. The asks begin, the assumptions begin, the quiet reorganization of who pays and who owes whom begins, and the machine you built in silence starts feeding a social structure you never agreed to join. You crossed $2 million in net assets on a Wednesday. You were standing in a hardware store holding a replacement washer for your kitchen faucet that had been dripping for a week. The washer cost 89 cents. Your phone buzzed with a quarterly summary from the LLC accounting software you run yourself on a $19 a month subscription. You looked at the number. You put the phone away. You bought the washer. You fixed the faucet yourself with a YouTube tutorial and a wrench you've owned since 2009. You made dinner. You went to sleep. Because here is what nobody tells you about building something real. The milestone doesn't feel like a milestone. It feels like a Wednesday. It feels like a dripping faucet and an 89-cent washer, and rice on the stove, and a refrigerator that hums too loud. The number is not the point. The number is confirmation that the architecture is working, that Roy serviced the machines on schedule, that the yard is full, that Bev renewed without blinking, that the wire arrives on the 14th, every month, whether you are watching or not. Greg is organizing another office gift pool. Someone is leaving. You put in $12, same as always. You hand Greg the envelope. You go back to your desk. You eat the rice from the container you packed on Sunday. You answer your emails. You smile at the right moments. You drive home in the Civic with the cracked dashboard trim. You check the yard report on your phone in the parking lot before you go inside. 17 units, full occupancy, wire confirmed for the 14th. You put the phone in your pocket. You go inside. You make dinner. And somewhere in a storage yard 3 miles from an industrial port, the gravel holds, the machines run. Nobody at that office knows a single thing about the woman who owns it all.